Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Marsha. I'm a little ramped up, and I'm looking forward to a good conversation to get myself back to a calm state. I've got my knitting in my lap. I've got pictures of the people I've met, of our listeners in my head. I'm looking forward to laughing a lot and, letting some of the work things of the morning just go until when we're done.
Full disclosure, we had a conversation before we started recording, and none of that conversation can be repeated in the podcast.
Let's just say I've been asked to be part of something that I thought I was just like a minor part, or maybe not a minor part, but, coming in to do a job. And it feels like none of it has been planned, and I'm being expected to have done all of the stuff that isn't done. That's enough.
That's happening at 2:30 and it's 9:30. So let's get to it. You can't waste any time.
Right.
I'm going to start off. I have here in the show notes. I'm going to start off with a public service announcement. And I'm going to say this is embarrassing to admit, but I think that's why I need to say something. So it's about fraud, consumer fraud. And I did not lose any money, but I came so close. So Kelly, you remember this happened back in September. I got an email from my former mother-in-law asking if I shopped on Amazon. And I said, yes, I do. And she emailed back that she was trying to buy an Amazon gift card for her niece for her birthday, and she was having difficulty doing it. Her card kept getting declined, and would I do it for her? And I said no. Twice I said no, we'll just try a different card, or you call Amazon, because she wanted me to buy it, and if it wouldn't go through, she wanted me to call Amazon. First of all, you don't really call Amazon.
Right.
I mean, you don't really, but anyway, so finally the third time I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And she said, I want a $200 gift certificate, Amazon electronic gift certificate sent to my niece. So I tried to do it and it won't go through. So I call Amazon and they say, well, I did call Amazon, and they said that your bank is blocking it. You have to call your bank. So I called my bank, and, there had been, long story short, they canceled my credit card. And I was very upset because it was going to be 10 days to get a new card. And it ended up being less time than that. And so I emailed her back, oh my gosh, this is what's happened. I'm washing my hands of this. And then she emailed back, well, do you have Venmo, Zelle, or PayPal that you could do it that way? And then I can send you a check. And I said to her, kind of snippy, I said to her, no, I don't know what you don't understand. I don't want to be involved in this anymore. Call your son. And I never heard back. And so I spent, Kelly, I don't know how many weeks ago this was. It was before the last episode. Because in the last episode, we referred to my bad day. This had been my bad day.
Right.
And I was really upset that she never responded to me. And I felt really bad that I had been kind of short with her. And I thought she's really angry with me. And then you and I had a conversation about it. And you said, it kind of sounds like maybe it's fraud. I'm like, I don't know. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to call her and find out if she is mad at me, try and resolve that. And then also to find out, did she really send me that email? And of course, everybody's ahead of me. She never sent that email.
Right. Well, in the conversation that you and I had, you know how people do, will say, I talked to so-and-so, or like in the morning when Robert says, what are you doing? I say, I'm talking to my knitting friends, and it's not real talking. It's So when you said you talked to, you had talked to Mars, that this had all happened, in my head, I was picturing phone conversations, right? And you were saying, you just wanted to help someone who was, what did you say, 83 years old, right?
Yeah, she's 83.
And so I'm not picturing an 83-year-old woman emailing you and texting you. I'm picturing her on the phone talking with you. And so there's another place where like it didn't, there was an opportunity to catch it, but that just went by,
Yeah, and I have to say it's embarrassing because I fell for it, I said to you earlier when I kind of think I'm relatively intelligent, but I completely believed it. And yet looking back at this, there were so many red flags I did not see. The first being she never sends electronic gift cards. She always writes a check. And I've known her since 1990, and she always sends $100 gift or check. This was a different amount, $200. That was kind of weird. And it's always a check. It's never a gift card. That was weird. Her email had changed. It was from an Outlook account, and compared to what she used to have. But that didn't seem strange to me because my father-in-law passed away a year and a half. It was a year ago, May. Oh, and I thought, and she's moved to sold the house and she's moved to a retirement community. I thought she just has a new account.
Right.
I mean, that's not unusual. And so I didn't think that was unusual. And then her writing was very kind of abrupt. That's not the right word. Minimal. But that's how she is when she does send me an email. She's not... because I don't think she's super comfortable writing. So she just sends these very short little cryptic messages.
Yeah.
She's not chatty. And so that didn't seem so strange to me either. But yeah, I did not see it until, and then even when she quote unquote, because it's not her, says to me, well, okay, so it didn't work out sending that gift card. Can you just send the money via PayPal or Venmo or Zelle? I still don't think that it's weird.
Right. You were just pissed off.
I was pissed off. It's like,
what is wrong with her?
The other thing that also did not seem out of the ordinary because she does push that way. Maybe not like this thing, but she does push on stuff. So that didn't seem so weird to me either. And now looking back, it's like, wow. So the other thing, shout out to Amazon, that they have a system in place that when the card didn't go through, and shout out to Bank of America for not letting the charge go through, because I was irritated with both of them and they saved me. And it was not a huge amount, but it's the point, So, I just, and then I thought I need to say something too, because this happened. And I finally called her and she said no. And she said it had a bunch of people that got emails like this, but they were smarter and they called her to check it out.
Okay, that's not nice.
Well, she didn't say that.
Okay. That's your.
She didn't say they were
paraphrasing.
Smarter. Yeah, that's my editorial comment about myself. So anyway, this is just a public service announcement. You really have to question everything. I really I can't believe I fell for it, but I did. So and the reason I'm saying something too is I had this conversation with her, I don't know, Thursday or Friday of last week. And I was also, I should say too, I was really relieved that she's not mad at me because it wasn't her.
Right.
I was thinking, I don't she's not talking to me because she's angry, You
didn't send that nasty email to her.
No. But what I wanted to say is that Sunday in the magazine section of the Seattle Times, there was an article about fraud. And one of the things that people talk about is how embarrassed they are. to admit that they got fooled. And so I thought, I have to say something. So I have in the show notes, there's 2 links. One is to the Federal Trade Commission on consumer advice and also the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And there's links in the show notes. So if people want to, people probably know all of this, but I don't think I'm alone in this. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it's good just a quick read, just a little reminder.
Yeah.
A reminder. Yeah.
I think, I don't think that you should feel embarrassed because for one, the scammers are getting much better. The email address that you describe, a lot of times the email address is a lot more complicated, or it used to be. The email address was a lot more complicated and it didn't have anything to do with the person's name. And you could kind of tell from that, right? That was a clue. And some of those clues are actually gone. And I'll just tell on myself, before the ransomware attack happened at Hartnell, that was a year ago, basically just exactly a year ago. In October, but our IT director said that there had been bad actors in our email, snooping around in our email, being part of our email threads since April. And when she said that, I remembered that I was having an email conversation with a group of people about something work-related. And I noticed that the dean's email address in this thread wasn't the regular @hartnell.edu. It was a Gmail account. But the Gmail account had Hartnell in it and had the dean's name in it. And I thought, I don't know why he's doing that. He shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be he should be using his Hartnell email. I had just had training. Had training about, some of the things to look for that, emails that aren't exactly the way you expect them to be. And instead of thinking, okay, is there a stranger among us here? I was being, judgmental about one of our deans using a personal email account instead of using his Hartnell account. Because, it's a little harder to log in. There's a little more, So I just thought he was, making it easier on himself and using his personal email. So yeah, it's easy to get kind of your head in a different space where you're not thinking about the fact that this person who's emailing you is not the person they say they are.
And I'm going to say something positive about myself is I think they're also preying on the fact that we are kind people, right? And, and if you get a message, they're hoping it's a family member, and they're hoping that they're going to prey on your kindness, right? And that's exactly what they did. Is that I didn't want to do this, I didn't want the hassle, but it's like, okay, she's 83, she seems pretty together, but I don't know. She's moved into this assisted living. There might be some decline, their cognitive decline. She can't figure it out. I think it says something about me that I'm a kind person, even though I didn't want to do this. I'm like, okay, I'll help March out because she needs help.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I think I'm a kind person. And that's why they preyed on me.
Yeah. But, and I guess the bottom line
is
a phone conversation, right? That's the bottom line is.
Yeah, but I've learned now I didn't lose anything financially. Just so that's good. But I also lesson learned. I'm going to be suspicious of anything now. Which is kind of a sad commentary too, that we have to be suspicious of everything. But anyway, that's my PSA.
Well, that's good, Marsha. Thank you.
Okay, so projects. Do you want to go first, or
I will go first because I have. Okay. Hardly anything to report due to our contract situation. We've had lots of small labor actions going on. So picketing here and there, going to meetings, wearing red, having a faculty meeting. So I have been pretty busy. But I am still working on this baby blanket. I am so the starting end of it was burgundy and then a gray stripe and then a gold stripe. And I'm going to finish it kind of in a kind of a mirror image of that, but not an exact mirror image, using gold and then gray and then burgundy. And so I am playing yarn chicken with the purl row of this pattern going across with the gold. So I will finish up the gold. I will finish up the gold momentarily, and then I'll be starting on the gray, and then the only thing left will be a little bit of burgundy at the tail end. So I'm really close, and I wanted to get it done faster because I will admit to something. The other night, this is about a week ago, I was in bed knitting with a glass of wine, and I reached over to do something, and you know what happened.
I'm laughing. No, well, I'm laughing, Kelly. First of all, what makes me laugh is that sort of my normal position too. In bed with my knitting and a glass of wine and Netflix. But anyway, yes, you reach over. I know where this is going.
I reached over and spilled the good. It was not just the dregs. A good portion of a glass of wine right off the table, splashed onto the blanket, splashed onto a bunch of other places. Anyway, massive cleanup ensued. And I did put the parts of the blanket that had little spots, ran it under water to get it out. And then I let it dry. And then I noticed, it's still on the needles. And then I noticed when I picked it back up that there are a couple of other spots. So, I don't want to wait too long. I need to get this done because I need to get it in the washer to get that, those little spots, those little spots of wine off. So I am almost done, getting close. It won't probably be today, but yeah, it's close. And I did put it in Ravelry finally. It's called the Classic Knitted Ripple Afghan by Leisure Arts. And it's it's an old style pamphlet. I think it actually is old. I don't know when my mom got it, but it has the crochet ripple and a granny square, Afghan in the pattern, and I'm really enjoying it. The pattern is pretty intuitive. Every once in a while, I get off because I'm talking or not paying attention, or maybe it's that wine. But I am enjoying this, and Robert said he wants a blanket. He wants an Afghan. And I said,
do you want this pattern?
I said, do you want this pattern? He said no. But I thought, this would be kind of nice. He's got, he had one years ago, right? That I had made for him, I think, or my mom, one of us. But he wants a different one. He wants one more like either Mark's or the one I made, the garter squish.
Oh, okay.
So I think I'll do that. So there's another garter squish in my life. But so there's that. And then the only other thing I have to report is that I did, after the last episode, I did go out, and I think it was the next day or something, and put the rest of the Romney that I just bought into the Suint bath. Because I had said I was going to try something that didn't have a lot of lanolin. And so I put the rest of the Romney into the Suint bath. It's been there not quite 2 weeks. And boy, does it smell bad. I thought it smelled bad before. Whew. One of the reasons it's still in there is because I didn't want to, take it out, squeeze it out, and get that smelly stuff all over me. I thought, no, this is not. I went out to get it out of the bucket, and when I smelled it, I thought, okay, no, I would need to go have a shower after I squeeze this out, and I don't have time for that. So it's still out there soaking. So probably, I don't know about this weekend because I'm going to Lambtown, but maybe when I come home from Lambtown, I will squeeze it out and lay it out to dry and report back. It will be shocking to me if there is no smell on this one when it dries. I know I said in the last episode, science works. And that's why it doesn't smell when it's dry. But I have to say, I'm very skeptical that that's going to be the case this time. But we'll see. I will report out in our next episode. But that's it for me.
Okay. All right. Projects. So my Snowflower, I am almost done with the body. I'm now working on the ribbing.
Wow.
I have knit about 1 inch of the ribbing, and I need 3 inches. And then I'll bind that off, and then I need to do the sleeves. So making good progress on that.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So once I got on track, it was interesting in that episode to read there still continue to be some comments in the discussion thread about my technique. So mostly people want, they would like me, oh shoot, now I shouldn't say this because I can't remember who it was.
It was Emily.
They wanted me to do the tutorial?
Yes.
On a video and anyway.
She's the one that works. She's the one that works with me. Teaches computer science. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I saw that too, and I had to chuckle.
So, okay, and then Santa's laundry line. I have finished his jacket, his pants, his little hat, and I'm currently knitting his long johns. I've done the whole body, and I'm almost done with the first leg.
Wow.
But I've kind of now set that aside a little bit because I said I was going to do this in the last episode, and I actually have done it. I pulled out Daphne's skull.
Yay!
And I pulled it out, and I figured out where I had stopped. Was I had stopped just before knitting all the teeth for the upper jaw. So the teeth for the lower jaw are done. And Kelly, there are 16 on the lower jaw. Those were done. And I had to start knitting the teeth for the upper jaw. And I think that's where I just got stopped because I put it in the show notes here that very fiddly knitting and honestly not that fun. But I'm determined to finish before the Halloween. So I pulled it out and I have knit 6 teeth of the upper jaw, and so that means I have 10 more to go.
10 more, yeah, that's good.
So, and then I have to I like the nose. Like you have to knit something around. I have more work to do, but I think once I get past the fiddly teeth, and get that, then I think it's going to start picking up. It'll go a lot faster. So, kind of determined to finish that.
Very cool.
So that's why, because I need to finish that in October, right? But then I have all of November and part of December to finish Santa's laundry line. And
your tea cozy isn't Christmas; it's pink and green.
Yeah,
yeah. So you have some different holiday knitting on your needles. That's kind of cool.
Yes. Yeah. And then I have been working on my socks. And it's that Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn. It's very, very bright, hot pink and lime green and whatnot. And but I'm putting in contrasting heels and toes in Dreaming Color Mini Smooshy and in a teal color. So the first sock, I'm just doing the reducing for the gusset. So I'm making progress on that.
Well, yeah, that's good.
I will say I got quite a bit of knitting done on my sock because I have plumbing problems at the rental house. And started out what I thought was going to be really simple, just that under the kitchen sink, the part where the P-trap is, it comes off the sink, and then that pipe then makes that turn and goes into the wall. That had rusted out. And so I fixed that before. That's really easy. So I went over there and I fixed it. No problemo. That's all done. And then they said, oh, by the way, the sink is running really slow, the kitchen sink. So I went and the next day, went back with a snake. I couldn't even get the snake into the wall. So I thought, okay, it's time to bring in the experts.
Yeah.
And I guess what happens when you bring in the experts is the bill just goes up dramatically because the experts find things. You should never call an expert, no, because they find things. No, make a long story short, they came last Friday, cleared out the line, and I got a call over the weekend that the sink is still backing up. And so I went over there, called the plumber, met the plumber there on Monday, and they think what the problem is where the pipe comes down from the kitchen sink on the main floor and then goes down into the basement. And then it goes into the concrete floor of the basement and then goes out the house, where then it goes all the way around the house and joins the sewer line. And then goes all the way, it goes out the north side of the house, goes all around the west side of the house, joins the sewer line on the south side of the house, and goes out to the street. So thank goodness it's not the main sewer line.
Yeah.
I don't have to have that fixed, but
yeah.
they have to remove that pipe that comes from the main floor kitchen down to the concrete and jackhammer out the concrete to remove that pipe because they believe it's crushed. It's not crushed, but it's cracked and failed. Because I mean, what was I can't do the math, but the house was built in 1942.
Right.
So
it's kind of like the clay pipes that we had that crushed, although that was the main sewer line in our case.
So the tenants have been very patient. So because fortunately they can use all the plumbing in the house, they just can't use the kitchen sink. So they'll be okay. But anyway, my point about this is all that sitting around waiting for plumbers to show up. It's just sitting in my car. I got a lot of knitting done.
Oh, that's
sitting
good.
and waiting for. That was the upside of plumbers, waiting for plumbers. So anyway, okay. So then events. I think we're done with projects, right? Do we talk about events?
Yeah, let's do.
You're going to Lambtown.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to be in Lambtown. I'll get there Friday night. I'll be there Saturday. I probably will spend a little bit of time there Sunday morning. I'm looking forward. Our friend Dagmar is going to be there, so I'm going to see her. And Mimi, whose ticket I have, or whose class I bought from her, the boucle class that I'm taking. I hope to see her and Alyssa and lots of other people who I know are going to be at Lambtown. It'll be fun to see them all. We'll miss some of the usual suspects are not going to be there, and I'm really curious to see this year how it's changed. I didn't go last year, but with the news that stitches, there would be no more stitches, XRX bankruptcy, that news, a lot of people started looking toward Lambtown as being the Northern California fiber go-to option. And so I'm wondering if it will be a lot bigger this year, a little bit bigger this year, any bigger. The marketplace, I always liked Lambtown because it was small and homey and a lot about the fiber animals. It had it has the fleece judging, and then has the sheepdog demos and that kind of thing. Kind of like black sheep gathering. Yeah, too. Yeah, it's kind of like a fair, and you could see all the vendors in a very short period of time, and then you unlike at Stitches where it took you a couple of different sessions to see all the vendors. You could see all the vendors, and then you could go back to the ones you wanted to kind of look at a little bit more. And you had, it felt relaxed. You could sit and have lunch or sit and chat with people. And you didn't feel like, oh, wow, I'm missing something, And then one year there was a flea market there at the same time. And I remember Robert, that was the year that Robert went with me, and he was out in the flea market and bought me some turkey salt and pepper shakers I had a set of them from my mom, and he found some others. And so, so he was kind of poking around out in the flea market area. So I'm just curious what the vibe is going to be this year. Looking forward to having a little bit more selection there to choose from, but also not wanting it to change, not wanting the vibe to change too much. So I'm just kind of curious to see how it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm dropping Aunt Betty off at her granddaughter's, so that will be nice for her to get a chance to visit with her granddaughter. So yeah,
nice. Nice.
It'll be a fun little weekend away.
I went last Thursday. I went to the Seattle Weavers Guild. They have a meeting every month and have a speaker. And I went to that, and it was kind of fun because the library was open. So I checked out a book, and then they had a book sale. So I bought 3 books.
Oh, nice.
And I met one of our listeners, Julie Sampson. She was there and introduced herself. And I had some communication with her. Remember, Kelly, she had reached out and asked about hiking.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
new to the Pacific Northwest. And so I had sent her some information about hiking. And so she introduced herself at the meeting and offered to come and help Kim and myself with the loom.
Oh, that's really nice.
So I will take her up on that too. And I will say, I think I had a public service announcement in the last episode, I think, when I was talking about the color choices that Kim has.
Oh, right.
and there was a lot of comments about, oh my gosh, no, that's not good. And oh my gosh, don't put 10 yards on. Even experienced weavers don't put 10 yards on. But anyway, the reason I bring this up now too is that the Seattle Weavers Guild is having a sale the end of October. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So October 26th, 27th, and 28th. And it's at Blodell Hall at St. Mark's Cathedral in Seattle. And so I put the information in our show notes and a link to their website. And if people want, you can also volunteer. So I think I'm going to volunteer. I'm not quite sure which day. I have to look at my schedule and see which day. And you can decide where you want to volunteer, do you want a cashier? Do you just want to meet and greet? Do you want to set up? There's all these different options. So I'm going to look at it and decide what I want to do.
Oh,
so anyway.
Cool. And what do they sell?
All of the members are weaving for it. So it's all scarves and I'm sure all woven stuff that the members have made. Tea towels. I'm sure there's like placemats, table runners. I don't know. I've never
Shawls,
been before.
maybe.
So, yeah. I think also our friend Kelly Brook was there. She came over from Vashon Island. And I think last year she was selling her bags that she makes.
Oh, yeah. Those are really pretty.
So I'm hoping to be there. I'll have more information the next time we record. But so just if people want to go to that, I'm assuming beautiful hand woven items.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So it's Thursday evening and then Friday. Looks like a long time on Friday they're open, and then Saturday.
Yes, so Thursday the 26th, it's 5 to 8. Friday, October 27th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And Saturday, October 28th, it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So,
nice.
And it does say, I should say this too, admission is free, and it also says parking is free. I went up there. They do have, it's been years since I've been to St. Mark's Cathedral. They do have a parking lot, but I don't know. I mean, I would plan, if never having been to the sale, if it does really fill up, you're going to probably have to find a place to park in the neighborhood and have a bit of a walk, a little bit of a walk. But I don't know. I can't really speak to the parking, not having been to this sale before, but just seeing the size of the lot.
It's kind of
and
small.
Then also, because this is kind of embarrassing, I forgot my phone when I went there to the meeting. And there's a section of the parking lot that's free. There's another section where you have to pay, and you have to download an app. Well, I didn't have my phone to even download the app, and so Kelly paid my parking. Very nice of her. I guess that's a scam too, right? Oh, I don't have my phone. Can you pay my parking?
Beware.
Beware of Marsha.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, so that's all I have.
All right. Well, I think, going to lose yarn chicken with this last row of gold. We'll see. It's not that big of a deal. I will just back it out and start the gray. But yeah, this quick episode, Marsha.
I know. Well, because you have to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Prepare or go do battle or whatever. How you want to
see about a few things. I have to figure out who's in charge of this event and actually knows the scoop about what I'm supposed to be doing. I just have to say, it's a good thing it's a good thing I have 35 years of experience in the classroom, and I know how to look prepared even when things go awry, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll work out fine, but yeah, it's I'm feeling much better now. Marsha can attest that I'm much calmer now than I was when I first answered the phone.
Well, I mean, and let me just say, completely understandable and justified to feel the way you felt when you first answered the phone.
Well, it's a little nerve-wracking when the day before the event there are 3 different email threads, all of them with conflicting information in them. Some of them have conflicting information within the same email thread. Probably about 25 different emails that I had to sift through trying to figure out what was going on, because those email threads were all blowing up as people discovered that what they thought was happening wasn't happening. So
yeah. Kelly, I do have to ask you one thing, and I can pause and make a little pause, and you can edit this out if you want to edit this out if you don't want to talk about it. But the new purchase. Are we talking about that at all?
Yeah,
Talking about that?
No. Okay. It's not a secret. Yes, a few of you maybe saw it if you follow me on Instagram. But a couple of weeks ago, Robert showed me this car that he had seen on the auction site, and I said, absolutely not. And he kept like, but this, but that. And then I started just laughing, because we have done this so many times in our marriage where he has said he wants something and I've said absolutely not. And then he keeps working on it. And then I finally just realized that it's a lost cause.
It's happening. It's just happening.
I just need to be okay. I just need to say.
Yeah.
So I finally, at one point during the 2 weeks, I said to him, as we were talking about, how much he thought it was going to go for and stuff. And he has money. He saved money for retirement, and, retirement money. Part of it is to live on, and some of it that you saved, you get to use for the fun stuff if you've saved enough. And he's done a great job of that over the years. And so finally I just looked him square in the eye with my most serious face, and I said, do whatever you think is right for our family.
That's so funny.
Anyway, the bottom line is that he bought a 1965 Mustang Fastback, and it was delivered on Saturday. And it is beautiful. It's not like the truck where he's working on it and has stuff to be done. He said this is his forever car. It's his dream car. He has only a few regrets in his life, and one of them was that he sold the Mustang that we had when we were first married and lived in Spokane. He had it actually before we were married, and then when we were first married and lived in Spokane, at a certain point we had to sell it because we didn't have money to pay for gas or insurance or any of that.
Well, I have a couple of comments about, as I know this about Robert, and we had a conversation about this, so I'm not saying anything out of turn at all, but I realize about Robert, he's sentimental, and you guys dated in that car.
Yeah.
You dated in that Mustang, and then you went to school in that Mustang. You drove it from California to Washington State. How many times? You were in Walla Walla. He was up in Eastern and Cheney. And I remember you had that car. He would come and visit you in Spokane, and then I remember you had the car. I'm sorry, he would visit you in Walla Walla, and then you had the car in Spokane. And I think, as I recall, didn't it need new tires? You just couldn't afford, as you said,
It was all little stuff. The car ran. We just couldn't afford to own it, right, at that time.
Yeah.
he was waiting
But
tables. I was waiting tables. We were both in school. Yeah. So he sold it. And the guy he sold it.
He bought was
go ahead.
Oh, well, no, but I say he sold it, but you bought a truck.
Well, we bought
you bought
so we could move because
right. But the truck you bought was a 64, 65, whatever the truck he just bought, right?
Yeah, it was a little older than the truck he just bought. Yes. Yeah, and we bought the truck because we needed to move, and we went and looked at what it was going to cost to rent a moving. Rent a U-Haul to move. And for the cost of that, he could buy a truck that actually had to stop in Roseburg on the way moving down to California. We had to stop in Roseburg because water pump or something had to be replaced. Anyway, yeah, those were, the days of not having enough money and not having reliable transportation and having to figure it out. He fixed the water pump in the parking lot of the I don't know, wherever he went and bought the stuff, and borrowed bought some tool and borrowed some other tool from the gas station nearby. I mean, when I think about that, it's like, oh my God. If my mother had, you talk about Ben and the things you worry about. If my mother had known about it, we had 3 cats. We're in the motel with the 3 cats. You're not supposed to have any pets, and we have the 3 cats in sneaking the 3 cats into the motel. I mean, they were in crates, but still, and the whole thing was just nightmarish.
Yeah, no, it's like the things we did when we were kids, when we were younger, the things we did, and the risks we took, and we didn't have cell phones and credit cards.
Exactly.
Exactly. Just the stuff I think about starting off on the road on a highway in a car that was not super reliable.
Yeah.
I did that. But going back to more positive things, I realized his dream car is also like there's an emotional connection because you guys dated in that and then the truck too, because his father had
an old truck like that.
Maybe not the exact same year, but a truck like that, within a year or two of that model that he just got. So it makes sense why he's getting the vehicles that he's getting.
Yeah. It does. And I said to him, he has to stay off that auction site.
You have to put a firewall up or something.
But he said no, I think he's being honest. He has no other desire. This was what he wanted, right?
No, I think Robert's his word is good when he says that he's done. Yeah. He's done. I believe that. Yeah.
Unlike other kind of collectors of yarn and fountain pens and other kinds of things, it's like, okay, now that you have this one, well, what about that one? And he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that feeling. So anyway, yes, we have his cousin was funny. I posted a picture of the truck that brought this enclosed truck that brought the car. And I just posted a picture and what's happening. And she said, "Oh, is he getting a pony for his birthday?" And then
kind of.
Yeah, well, and then
that's the joke.
Yes. Well, and then afterwards she said, "Well, I was right. It was a pony,
Yeah.
Because it's the Mustang. So, yeah.
Well, it's going to be fun. I know the last I heard, you guys have to get it insured and get it licensed. But I'm excited to see pictures of the first ride in it.
Yeah. The guy he bought it from said, it'll be perfect for taking a ride to the ice cream shop. So I was asking Robert, what ice cream shop is he going to take me to? So maybe we'll go to JJ's in San Juan Bautista and get a burger. Maybe that'll be our first trip. Get a burger and a milkshake.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I just want to ask one last question because I interrupted you. You said that the old Mustang, when you were living in Spokane, you sold it to a guy, and then you started to say something about the guy, and I interrupted you.
Yeah. We actually saw it a couple years later. we were in Spokane for 3 years, and I think it was the first year that we were there that we ended up selling it. And then just lived without a car for the rest of the time. But anyway, near the time that we were about to leave, we went to breakfast, and in the parking lot of the Perkins Cake and Steak was Robert's car, and it had been restored. It was white. When he had it, it was a silver green color, but it had originally been white with red interior, and he had it all fixed up. It was white again, and it had, the interior looked great. The paint job looked nice. It looked pretty, and, like someone loved it. And so at least that, he felt good about that. But he had always regretted that he had sold that Mustang. Mm-hmm. And now he doesn't have that regret because he has this one instead. So anyway, yeah, if you can
exciting.
Lose some of your lifelong regrets, that's a good thing, right? So pretty exciting.
Well, I'm going to let you go off and do have those conversations you need to have. And I'm going to go take the dog for a walk.
Okay, Marsha.
Okay, alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.